Hi, this is Bill Joyner, and this is the first episode of a series of short videos that I'm producing. Now, the title of this episode is "The Quail from Hell." Back in the day, I had a brother-in-law, Don, asked me to take him duck hunting. Don wasn't an expert hunter by any means and wasn't in the best of shape. So I knew that would kind of be a tall order to fill. But I was friends with a local landowner that had a great duck pond. During the winter, it was packed with ducks, all of them quacking their fool heads off. But one of the reasons that it was is because the little lake was a long, narrow lake, and the ducks were smart enough not to stay up by the dam. They stayed back in the neck of the lake, and there was no cover for a hunter or a predator to get up on them. No trees, no bushes, no breaks in the. It was just flat prairie land. So they enjoyed a pretty peaceful existence on that pond. But I thought if somehow we could crawl back to the neck of that pond before it got daylight, we might be able to get close enough to get a little shooting in. So I relayed that to Don, and he said, I always heard that ducks were good to eat. Is that right? I said, hey man, roast duck and dumplings, you can't beat that. Well, the light came on in Don's eyes, and I knew at that point, the thought of duck and dumplings, he was going to be a dedicated duck hunter for the rest of his life. So I gave him a rundown on what we needed to do, how to carry his gun when we crawled, and I alerted him it was going to be pitch black. But that vision of dumplings and ducks, that was good enough for him. No obstacle seemed too great at that point. So we got up real early the next morning. I parked my truck at a fence crossing where I knew that the braces for the fence would make it easy for us to climb the fence. And we walked for a little while, and before we got down on our hands and knees and began to crawl. Now I had already told Don how to carry his gun where he wouldn't accidentally stick the end of it in the ground, and at the same time, more importantly, not shoot me. In fact, I warned Don, if you shoot me, you can forget about the dumplings, man. So I had Don's full attention. So we walked for a ways, and as we got closer to the pond, it was a cloudy night sky, no stars, no moon, no light. It was just pitch black. So as we began to crawl, I had Don out to the side and behind me just a little bit where I could kind of keep tabs on him. And I knew he was probably a little anxious about being out there in total blackness. And honestly, that kind of stuff has never bothered me. I enjoy being in the woods before dark or out in the fields. And I know that's not some people's cup of tea, but it's right up my alley. So as we crawled along, I heard a thunder of wings right behind me. Then I heard a sound that I've never heard before, and I doubt if I'll ever hear again. It was kind of a combination of a moan, a keening cry of panic, and a pleading for help. The only thing I could think of that I could compare it to was it had to be the sound that a condemned soul makes when he first sights the devil at the gates of hell. That is the only sound that could do it justice. So, being an experienced hunter, when I heard the flutter of wings and heard him shriek like he did, I knew exactly what had happened. We'd crawled into a covey of quail. And that's where quail covey at night. They stay out in open areas where nothing can slip up on them. So, realizing what had happened, I became almost hysterical. I was down on the grass on the pasture, just rolling and laughing my head off. And as I laughed, I could hear ducks rising up off the water and winging their way off. So I knew that our duck hunting had probably come to an end. But hey, we were dressed and already out there, so I told Don, well, we'll wait and see what happens when the sun comes up. Whatever chance that we had of any ducks still being on the pond or maybe circling around and coming back to the pond was erased, because about every 5 minutes I had a giggle fit thinking about that moan from hell. I hope you enjoyed this story, and maybe I'll see you out in the woods or in the fields. If not, I'll see you next time on our next video. Thanks for watching.